What is up? It's Whitney Bro. And for today's video, we are going to be doing a good old-fashioned first impressions with a few products. I don't quite have a full face, but these are still some items that I really wanted to try out on camera with you guys and see how I feel about them. Starting off the first impressions is the Essence Jelly Grip Hydrating Primer. This is kind of obviously supposed to be a dupe for the Milk Makeup Primer. I don't have that one anymore because I did run out. I did use it enough that I do feel like I can make a fair comparison, and I do also have the e.l.f. primer that I can make a comparison to as well, because this is almost half the cost of this one. Not quite, but you do save a few dollars. You have to pump it a few times before anything comes out. I'm doing 2 pumps just like I would with the e.l.f. Power Grip. Ooh, this is way more hydrating than either the e.l.f. or the Milk. You don't feel a whole lot of grip. Let me see what the directions say. Allow the formula several seconds to activate full grip effect, then apply your makeup to create a long-lasting makeup look. Okay. Ooh, I do feel it getting grippier, so we're going to let that sit. Off camera, I did go ahead and apply my About Face, the Performer foundation. I have come to know this foundation really well since I tried it, so I figured it would be the best foundation to test out this primer with. And I'm going to blend that out with a Sigma F47, the multitasker. Sorry, my mirror's not angled correctly. I need to go ahead and blend this out. I do feel it gripping onto the foundation. I'm not noticing any kind of splotchiness. Really, it's going on exactly how I would expect it to. I'm not seeing any dry places where it's skipping on my face or doing anything weird. It's leaving a beautiful finish underneath. The About Face foundation is really pretty on its own, but this is giving a slight radiance to my skin that you don't get with the e.l.f. Power Grip for sure. The next product that I'm going to be applying is the Ulta Beauty Complexion Crush Concealer, and I have mine in the shade Tan Neutral. Let's see what the doe foot looks like. Ooh, it's one of those pointy ones. So I'm going to go ahead. It gets quite a bit of product on there. I really don't need that much. Ooh, this might be a little dark. And I'm just applying that right on the dark circles. And just kind of moving that product back and forth with the tip, not really applying a whole lot more. I do like that doe foot though. And I always let my concealer sit for just a little bit, so we'll come back to that after these next couple of products. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the Essence Baby Got Bronze in the shade Mocha Me Crazy. And it is this stick bronzer. I've never used a stick bronzer before. I'm going to try a couple different application methods. On my forehead, I'm just going to put it on there and then blend with the brush. And then on my cheeks, I'm going to try to use the brush on the product itself and then apply it and see which one I like better. Ooh, okay. It has a weird consistency. Not weird, it's just, it's a little creamier than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be a little bit more stiff. I don't know if that's because it's a stick or what. But let's blend this out. Okay. I kind of like that. It does look, it is a little bit more subtle than it initially looks like it's going to be. I am going to see how that builds up as well, just to see if I can get a little bit deeper bronze out of it if I want to. That is very subtle right now, and it could be the color. Sadly, this is the deepest shade that they had. Essence really could work on their shade range. Okay, and applying it with taking the product and putting it on the brush, I feel like is working better than just going directly in with the product. Yeah, I'm liking that application a little bit better. It does smell very heavily of coconuts. So if you're not a fragrance, when it's on your face, you don't really smell it. But like if you get in to sniff it, it definitely smells like that artificial coconutty smell, which I love. I don't have a problem with it. But just letting y'all know. Now I'm going to go back to my forehead and we're going to see if we can build this up. And I'm going to use the same method. Ooh, okay. That's building up rather nicely. Definitely more natural, but I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. For, I think this was $4.99. I ain't mad at it at all. Up next is the Revolution Blush Balm in the shade Peach Filter. These are supposed to be basically like a dupe for the Made by Mitchell. You can tell by the packaging. I'm wondering if the doe foot's even going to be the same. It's a little bit larger of a doe foot, but man, this color looks like it's going to be spot on for the Can't Cope Coral kind of mixed with Melon Sorbet. I have no idea how pigmented this is or isn't, so we're just going to go... Okay. I'm just doing a sizable dot. Okay. Not quite as pigmented as Made by Mitchell. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a dupe, because I think I'm going to need more of this to get the finish that I want and the intensity of the shade. Really pretty natural though. Just gives a little kiss of color if that's what you're looking for. If you want something very intensely pigmented like Made by Mitchell, this is going to be a disappointment because it is very subtle, but in a really pretty way. It has a very intense color out of the tube, but upon application, it is a very, very pretty both finish and color. It really works with the bronzer we're going with today. Now, if the bronzer was a little bit more potent, this blush would look a little goofy. So I'm kind of glad that they both ended up being a little bit more on the natural side so that, you know, we're giving natural. So I'm going to go ahead and blend out the concealer. Another product that I'm trying out is these powder puffs. I got them at TJ Maxx in a 9-pack, and I do not remember the name, but the only other powder puff I've ever used is the e.l.f. one. So that's kind of what I'm going to be comparing this to. And we're going to get in there and blend and see how good this concealer is, because all we've done is apply the concealer. Ooh. I am liking this concealer. this concealer and this powder, like the combination of the powder puff with this concealer. I bought it in a shade that would match my skin tone rather than be a brightening effect. I've found with age and having a little bit more creases under my eye, I really don't like the brightening effect like I used to. I'll go a couple shades lighter for just the teeniest effect of it, but I really don't like the dramatic bright under eye anymore. It's just not my vibe. But this concealer and this powder puff, these are my vibe. Because there was 9 of these bad boys for $4.99. Can't beat it. For my eyeshadow first impressions, I am going to be using the Coral Me Maybe palette from Essence. This is one of their little 6-pan palettes. I'm going to go in with my trusty NYX Ultimate Eyeshadow Primer. I didn't love this primer when I first bought it, but the more I use it, the more I like it. So that's a good thing. So the shade names on this are really cute because it's called Coral Me Maybe. All of the shade names are a reference to Call Me Maybe, which I think is just precious. So we're going to go in here with the shade Just Met You, which is this one right here, this lightest shade. It's kind of a light tan. It does have quite a bit of kick up in the pan, but again, as cheap as these eyeshadow palettes are, ooh, quite a bit of fallout on the face too if you don't knock off the excess. I normally don't have to knock the excess off, so something to be mindful of if you mind palettes that you have to knock the excess off of. Because I don't love it, because I feel like I'm wasting product, but just going to build that shade up. I just can't believe these shade names. I mean, I'm living for them, but I just wasn't expecting it. If you kind of pack it on and don't blend, there's not as much fallout as there is if you try to do windshield wipers. I'm glad this color's showing up on me though, because I really didn't expect it to. And once it's packed on, it really is not flaking off at all. So I recommend, if you don't like knocking the excess off, I recommend doing patting motions first to really let your primer grip it, and then go in with the windshield wiper or circular motions. I already have it up higher than the other one just from doing that method. I don't think I've ever used Essence eyeshadows before either, so this is also kind of a first impressions with the brand in that product category. So next up, I'm going to go in with the shade In My Way. And we're just going to use that. It's kind of a, hopefully it's a more deep coral. It looks like it's going to show up the exact same shade on my eyes, though. It is showing up the exact same as the first shade. There's not really a whole lot of difference on the eye. In the pan, there's a difference, but on my eyes, it's really showing up the same. It is deepening it a little bit, but you do really have to go in and build it up for it to deepen. We're going to go in with the shade Stare Was Holden, which is this one right here. And we're going to tap that on the outer corner. And gently buff it inward. They are blending into one another very easily. And if you are a very minimal person and you really only like a minimal amount of eyeshadow, I think these would be perfect for someone like that. I think they would be perfect for on the go. Just deepened that up a little bit. I really like how these are laying down so far. Okay, and then we're going to go into that first shade. And blend out some of the harsh edges. We're going to go into the shade Wish in the Well, which is this middle one right here. And it's this really pretty, this shimmer, I would say, is coral. It's not very impactful. I think it would be better with a glitter glue. I'm going to see if I can't layer it with another shade and maybe make it a bit more impactful. I'm going to go ahead and try to layer the shade This Is Crazy over top, and we'll see how that goes. This is kind of a rose gold reflex, but it also has like a greeny tint to it. Ooh, I like this shade better. This shade's really pretty. I'm wondering now what it would do with the glitter glue. I really like that shade more. That shade is more impactful. Just so we can say that we used all the shades in the palette, I am going to go ahead and go into the final shade called Pennies and Dimes. And we're going to use that to blend into the deeper shade. And I'm using that same brush that I used with the deeper shade. I would say that's a pretty good palette for less than $5, you know, and it's cute. It comes with a sizable mirror. It's nice and pocket sized. I think it's worth it. I think it's cute, especially if you like these colors. If they're colors you gravitate towards a lot, definitely worth the money. Last but not least, I did have the e.l.f. Power Grip Setting Spray. I've already shaken it up, so we're going to go ahead and use that. That's a really fine mist, almost too fine, but we'll see if it works for the staying power, and I'll update you guys in the description box. I went ahead and did a lip off camera, but this is the finished look for the first impressions. I really enjoyed everything. The blush was a little more subtle than I thought. I was pleasantly surprised by the bronzer. I expected it to be a little bit more waxy because of it being such a cheap product. I don't have mascara on or eyeliner because of my eye injury. You can watch my last video for more of an explanation on that. But I really did enjoy all the products I tried. Everything's sitting nicely. There's nothing that's skipping or acting weird. And so for first impressions where the primer was new, I genuinely feel like that is a great sign. But if you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up. I'll definitely try to do more first impressions when I can. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!